If everything around you loses its order, who decides what comes next? In the beginning, before memory learned how to protect itself, before language learned how to soften truth, before anyone could rewrite what happened, there was a first moment that did not ask permission. A beginning is not gentle. It does not wait for consensus. It does not explain itself. It simply happens, and everything else must rearrange around it. Long before anyone learned how to blame, long before anyone learned how to justify, existence itself was an act of courage, because to begin is to accept that something might fail, that something might break, that something might not last forever, and yet it begins anyway. Not because the future is guaranteed, but because the alternative is silence. In the beginning, something chose to be, and every story since has been an echo of that choice. The bridge did not fall quietly. It came down like a verdict, final, unappealable. Steel twisted as if it had grown tired of pretending to be strong. Concrete split like a promise that had been stretched too thin for too long. He arrived while the dust was still hanging in the air, fine and gray, coating his jacket, settling on his eyelashes, turning his breath into something he could taste. Every step felt like walking across a memory. Not just of a structure, but of decisions, of shortcuts taken, of warnings postponed, of confidence that once felt earned. He touched a broken beam. It was still warm, not from fire, from friction, from the violence of collapse. This was not an accident to him. This was a conversation he had been avoiding. What did you believe would hold forever? And for the first time, standing in the middle of twisted steel and dust, he understood something he had never allowed himself to admit. Some failures are not sudden, they are patient. Home did not feel like shelter tonight. It felt like an archive. Blueprints covered the table, each line a decision he once signed without hesitation. Measurements that once felt precise, now felt naive. Every drawing seemed to whisper, "You trusted this." He opened a drawer. Photographs, smiles frozen in time, ceremonies, handshakes, moments that once felt permanent. Back then, success felt like proof. Now it felt like a warning he never heard. The phone rang. He stared at it. Not because he did not care, but because he knew what waited on the other side of the sound. Questions, expectations, responsibility. Some nights silence feels safer than truth. Tonight he chose silence, and the room felt heavier for it. The room filled with people, but what it carried was heavier than bodies. Grief sat beside anger. Fear leaned against frustration. Everyone brought something broken with them. They did not just want answers, they wanted relief. They wanted certainty. They wanted someone else to hold what they were tired of carrying. Every voice carried a private story, a missed paycheck, a delayed delivery, a child late for school because the road no longer existed. When he stood, the room did not quiet. It sharpened. They were not listening for hope. They were listening for fault. He felt it. The invisible demand. Tell us it wasn't our fault. Tell us it was unavoidable. But truth does not negotiate. He spoke slowly, not to sound wise, but to sound honest. Fixing this will hurt. Not just financially, emotionally, politically, personally. Some people nodded. Some crossed their arms. Some looked at the floor. Honesty does that. It divides before it heals. There was a time when everything felt lighter, when the future was something to be celebrated, not defended. They stood in clean helmets, bright vests, clean boots, smiling for cameras that never captured doubt. Every structure looked like a victory. Every ribbon cut felt like a declaration. We did this. No one talked about stress fractures. No one talked about long-term wear. No one talked about what happens after the applause fades. Memory edits carefully. It keeps the sunlight, it removes the shadows. In memory, nothing ever falls. But memory is not a witness, it is a storyteller, and storytellers choose what to leave out. The church is quiet, but not empty. Silence presses against his ears, not as peace, as invitation. He sits where others once prayed for healing, for jobs, for marriages, for second chances. He is not asking for miracles, he is asking for clarity. In the beginning, creation was clean. Now everything feels layered, complicated, heavy with consequence. He looks at his hands built to create, now hands that tremble with responsibility. It is easy to start something. It is harder to remain accountable for what it becomes. Because building is not a moment, it is a lifetime. The plan is more than paper. It is a confession. Every number admits risk. Every line admits uncertainty. He explains, not selling, not performing, just laying reality on the table. This will cost more than money. It will cost time, reputation, trust, but it will cost more not to do it. Every measurement becomes a promise. Every revision becomes humility. This is the moment when belief stops being an opinion and becomes a burden you choose to carry. The temperature in the room changes, not from air, from pressure. Budgets speak louder than people. Policies speak louder than pain. They talk about liability. He thinks about responsibility. They talk about timelines. He thinks about permanence. This is where systems meet conscience, and conscience is rarely on the payroll. Doing the right thing is expensive, not just in dollars, in relationships, in political capital, in sleep. For a moment, the easier choice looks smarter, but easier is not always safer. Then help arrives, quietly, without contracts, without cameras. One person, then another, hands that are not trained, but willing. A child lifting tools too heavy, an older man resting between lifts, then lifting anyway. Hope does not announce itself. It simply shows up, not as a solution, as a reminder, you are not alone in this. Community is not built by plans, it is built by presence. Night does not ask permission. It arrives and takes everything the light was protecting. The fire starts small, a spark, a sound, then movement. Then it is no longer a fire, it is a force. Flames climb like they are searching for something to punish. Wood cracks, metal groans. Weeks of work scream as they disappear. He does not run. He stands there, watching the color of hope turn into smoke. This is not just loss. This is humiliation. This is the universe asking him, in the harshest language possible, how many times will you try before you admit you were wrong to try at all? The men around him shout. Water sprays. Sirens cut through the night. But none of it touches what is really burning. What is burning is belief. What is burning is the idea that effort is rewarded. What is burning is the quiet trust that doing the right thing will somehow protect you from disaster. He feels it in his chest, that familiar voice. The one that sounds like logic. The one that sounds like survival. Stop. Enough. You tried. Rebuilding once is courage. Rebuilding twice is stubbornness. Rebuilding again feels like denial. The fire does not argue. It does not explain. It only takes. And as the flames rise higher, so does the question he can no longer avoid. Is there a point where persistence becomes foolishness? The fire offers no answer, only ashes, only silence. And in that silence, for the first time, defeat feels reasonable. He is alone now, not just physically, internally. The noise is gone, the fire is out. What remains is heavier. The question finally escapes him, not in anger, in exhaustion. Why keep building if everything you build can be taken away? It is not a dramatic prayer. It is not even a prayer. It is a confession. I am tired. He thinks of every restart, every second chance, every time he told himself, this time will be different. And now, standing in the quiet after destruction, he feels something more dangerous than fear. He feels numbness. Numbness does not scream. It whispers. It says, protect yourself. Stop caring so much. Lower your expectations. Because if you expect less, you lose less. But deep under that voice, another truth rises. Creation was never a one-time act. It was a pattern, a rhythm, a choice repeated. Not because success is guaranteed, but because responsibility does not expire. Maybe the purpose was never to build something that never falls. Maybe the purpose was to become the kind of person who refuses to let falling be the end of the story. Not faith in outcomes. Faith in endurance, not faith in perfection. Faith in showing up again when it would be easier not to. The sun rises without negotiation. Light touches what fire could not erase. Today, he does not hesitate. Faces are tired, but eyes are clearer. Fear remains, but it is no longer in charge. He does not make a speech. He makes a choice. We build at dawn, not because it is easy, because it is necessary. They come back, not because it is easy, because something inside them refuses to let the story end in fire. Hammers strike, not in rhythm, in defiance. Mistakes happen, arguments happen, silence happens. Then work continues anyway. Sweat becomes proof of belief. Fatigue becomes a kind of prayer. Not spoken, lived, hands blister, knees ache, tempers flare, and still, they keep moving. This is what faith looks like in the real world. Not words, not speeches, not slogans. It looks like staying, when leaving would hurt less. Every beam lifted is a choice. Every bolt tightened is accountability. They are no longer repairing a bridge. They are repairing something harder to see. Trust. Trust that effort matters. Trust that failure is not final. Trust that what they are building is bigger than steel and concrete. They laugh again. Not because it is easy, because laughter is how you prove that fire did not win. This is endurance, not heroic, not beautiful, relentless, unromantic, real. This is what it looks like to continue creation. They step back, and what they see is not perfection. They see effort. They see scars. They see proof that collapse did not win. It is not flawless. It is honest. In the beginning, creation started something. Now they continue it. Not as heroes, as stewards. Building is not about control. It is about care. Again and again. In the beginning, God created, and now we choose what we will protect, what we will rebuild, and what kind of beginning we will leave behind. Because creation did not end, it was handed to us. And whether we continue it is a choice we make every day. And let us not be weary in well-doing, for in due season we shall reap, if we faint not.